If we've been your job search besties and helped you in some way, there's a cool way you can support the show. Shout us a virtual coffee.
As an independent podcast, we couldn't do what we do without your support. Head to buymeacoffee.com/interviewboss.
If you keep us caffeinated, we'll keep the content coming.
I think it's important to understand, if they weren't going to help you do this, would you move? Also, another hypothetical, would you live in this place? Would you consider living in this place if it wasn't for the job?
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Interview Boss. My name is Emma. I'm a radio journalist who's teamed up with my sister to give you advice, inspiration and support when you're looking for a new job. Sarah is a HR and recruitment professional, and together we're excited to give you all the tips, tricks and behind the scenes knowledge to help you in your career.
Hey Em, and welcome back everyone. We are always telling you to shoot your shot, so in every episode we tell you about a listener who's done exactly that. This ep, we're shouting out Todd, who bought us 3 coffees to support the show. Thank you, Todd.
He said, "Hi, Sarah and Em. I've been almost as excited to contact you as I was when I got the job. Yesterday, the offer came in. After 18 years with the same company, I was actually headhunted for a VP of sales position, a big move up. Being in sales, I get contacted a lot for jobs, but none had ever interested me. This one was worth giving it a go, though. I haven't had a proper interview in almost a decade, so I was very nervous when I found out I'd have 4 separate interviews with members of the C-suite, including my manager and the CEO. I went online and found you all and binge listened to about 15 of your most relevant episodes. I felt so prepared, having all of my best bits laid out, and found ways to roll them into every response that I could. I left each interview knowing they were impressed with my responses, and I owe a chunk of that to you both. After a slightly nerve-wracking reference period, yesterday I got the offer over my asking salary. You provide a great service, and I've already shared your podcast with my family and friends. Thank you from the US of A."
Oh, I just love that people are so excited to tell us. Like, that just makes me so happy that, like, you get the offer and you think, oh, Sarah and Emma are going to love this. We do.
And does I owe you a chuck? Is that referencing to like a bit of steak, chuck steak?
I have
because it's
no
very
idea.
It seems very Texan.
I thought it might have been a typo. I owe a chunk of that to you both. But you're going to have to help us out here. I've never come across that before. Also, I kind of was interested. We actually got, I found you all. Like, we've fully typed out y'all, you know, like that's interesting. I don't think I've ever seen it like that. I found you all. I like it.
Hang on, I'm just searching.
I've got a live Google happening here.
Okay, maybe it's a typo. Maybe they meant I owe you a check, a chug.
A chunk.
A hug.
I owe a chunk of that to you both. I think it's chunk.
Let's just pretend he means I owe you a steak because he's from the USA and he loves Terry Black's barbecue. Let's just go with that for the narrative.
What's Terry Black's barbecue? Is this from your US travels?
Yeah, it's an epic Texan barbecue steak place, and you go and get like cornbread and green beans and like rack of ribs, and you get the army tray like you're in a school cafeteria, and you walk along and you're like, yep, some of that, some of that, some of that. It's quite the experience.
How funny is it to have like sweet meat? I mean, it's delicious. I have a massive sweet tooth, but that was really disconcerting to me. I'm like, but it tastes like sugar. What?
Yeah. Yeah. And then like savory bread, cornbread, but it's sweet, but it's a wild time. We love the US.
So much learning. So thank you so much, Todd. We are so proud of you. That huge role, huge promotion after 10 years. Now, before we get into this episode, if you need more help than we can fit into a podcast, go check out our website for free templates, coaching services, or our interview academy.
This week, we're dedicating our episodes to our listeners, Laura and Sasha, who wrote to us with questions about relocating and trying to find a job. So we're going to do exactly that and help them out. Laura said, I'm interviewing for my dream job on Thursday. One downside is it's 5 hours from where I currently live and nothing on the application talks about relocation help. I've tried to read articles and a lot of them say to just ask or to work it into your offer. I know you did an episode about overseas sponsorship, but this would just be moving to a new state within the same country. I'm struggling with feeling like it's wrong to ask or that I'm asking for help when I just started. Overall, unsure how to bring this up during the interview process or if I should wait until an offer's made. Thank you so much. Your podcast has been life-changing since I found it yesterday. Your whole life's changed in one day. Wow.
One day? Oh, give us one day. That's all it takes us to change your life. That's a claim to fame.
Then Sasha said, hi friends, I need your help. A promotion at my company became available and a coworker recommended me to her boss, the hiring manager. We got on an introduction call and he let me know I'd need to move for this role. I let him know I wasn't sure I could and he told me to apply anyway. I just finished my second interview. Throughout the process, he's been asking me about moving and I've said if I get the offer, I'll make a decision. Trying to say, depends on how much you'll pay me. Yesterday in the interview, he said I need to let him know if I'm willing to move before he's willing to make an offer. How do I say I'll consider the move if you pay me X and include a moving package without it sounding too harsh? Ooh, it's a standoff.
Yeah, right. So 2 quite different scenarios, but both have to do with relocating for a job. Like you're not planning a move and you want to find a job. It's, I would be moving for this job. How do we kind of go about that? So it is a little bit different to the stuff that we've kind of covered before. The very first thing I think you need to do is to reflect and to think about your situation more broadly outside of the job that you're actually applying for.
Yeah, so in our first example, Laura mentioned that it was a dream job. So imagine if you were offered that dream job with absolutely no relocation, not happening, not a chance. Would you still move for it?
Yeah. And I think it's important to ask yourself that question regardless of the answer. You don't have to actually tell them that, but it's good to know where you stand first. Obviously, it would be better if you could have relocation assistance. And it might be like, actually, if there was no relocation, maybe you almost get closer to no, I couldn't do it. I don't know. It's going to be very personal to you. I think it's a helpful place to start, though, understanding if you were offered the job and there was no help, are you going?
Yeah, because I think it's easy to be like, well, if they don't do it, I'm not going to do it. I deserve it. I want them to do it. But then if they went, oh, okay, well, sorry, yeah, we can't do that and the offer's off the table, if you would secretly be like, no, but I actually would have done this job for free. This is my dream. Don't even worry about it. Then that's important context to have.
It is. It is. And I also want you to think about how long it would take you to move and what is actually involved for you as well. It's going to be very different from person to person. Depends on how far it is. Depends on what kind of place it is that you'd be moving to. Do you know people there? Do you have family there? Do you have a whole family and a whole house that you need to move? Are there school considerations? Do you have to wait to line it up with the next school year? Could you move and then your partner moves afterwards? Like there's so many different, situations people would be in.
Can we just rewind? What exactly is relocation assistance? Is this like we're asking them to pay for a removalist to come and pack up our things? Is it like, give me $5,000 for the inconvenience and stress of moving? Like what actually is moving assistance?
Well, that's a good question. So this is something I was going to get into later on in the podcast, but Emma wants it right up front. And hey, maybe our listeners do too. So what you might be able to get in terms of relocation assistance, it's not going to be every company that does this, right? Like it tends to be more of like a larger company type thing, I would say. I've never worked anywhere in Australia that has provided this, but that's not to say that no Australian companies do. Depends on your industry, depends on a lot of things. So it could be full-on proper relocation assistance where they will fully manage the process. They will book the flight for you and your family. They'll book you some temporary accommodation. They will organize the moving of your household items. Like there'll be a company that reaches out to you and like, hey, we're here to help you with this thing. When do you want us to come? Whatever. So like a full kind of service that maybe the company has engaged to help you with that.
To come down in a claw, pick you up and pluck you to your new destination.
Yeah, basically. And take you on the plane and then put you down somewhere else, like Dorothy's aunt's house in the Twister. Just plop your house somewhere else, I don't think it includes house moving. You know how they put houses on the back of a truck? I wonder, would a company ever cover that for you? I like my house. If you can move my house, I'll take the job.
I'm in.
They might even do a lump sum for you to put towards those costs. Like they're just going, look, we figure moving is about this much for international or local or whatever. You can do whatever you want with that. And you can pack everything up yourself and then keep the money if you want, or you can use that money to pay the company, or you can put it towards a hotel, or you can just stay with friends and family and spend it on a nice rental car. Or that enables you to do a bit more of what kind of suits you rather than like a cookie cutter package. Maybe you have to pay for those things and they will reimburse you. So you pay for the removalist and then you send them the invoice and they reimburse you. Maybe you book it and arrange it yourself, but they'll pay the invoice, or you can use a company card, or I don't know, something like that. Or maybe it would be a sign-on bonus that actually isn't really officially relocation assistance, but it's maybe offered as an alternative because they don't have a policy for relocation assistance. They'd never done it before, but they were like, hey, we want you. So here's a sign-on bonus of a couple of $1,000s that you can do whatever you want with.
I would totally do that. I would pocket the money and then just buy myself something nice or do something lovely and then put all my families to work like little minions and help me move for free. Also, out of the companies that offer this, would you say majority offer this when it's kind of their... The language I want to say is it's their fault you're moving, but not a new job, maybe an existing job, because our parents actually got this when our dad's company did a restructure and they were making him move, 3.5 hours away. So they did the whole pack up the house thing because it's hey, sorry that you're up. We're making you uproot your entire life. Is it more common within the same company than it is when going for a new job?
Yeah, I do think so. However, I've definitely seen it offered before, but it tends to be in scenarios where the company is saying we can't find anyone locally. Please come and move here. They're trying to find people elsewhere. It's when they're putting ads up in different cities or they're trying to get someone to move.
Especially it's regional when they're asking you to move to a smaller community. A lot of teachers, there's bonuses for moving rural for teachers, nurses, jobs like that, relocation bonus to try and lure people there.
Yep. I'm sure New Zealand are doing something at the moment. I might get this around the wrong way. It might be the other way around, but I'm sure New Zealand are doing something at the moment trying to get Kiwi, I think it's police officers back to New Zealand or something like that. And so hey, if you're from here, come back home. Here's the package. We'll help you move. It's a bit of a campaign type thing. I'm sure there's been a similar thing for air traffic control. Australia offering American air traffic controllers to move to Australia and hey, we'll help you with the visa, we'll help you with the relocation. Obviously those are kind of large scale campaign type things. But I think if you're in a talent short, candidate short kind of area, it's more likely to be the kind of thing that you would offer. But that doesn't mean that that's the only time it can happen. And that's a beautiful segue into how do we actually ask? If you're going, okay, I'm considering moving for this role, I want to know, do they have this assistance or not? And it's a new job like it is for Laura. How do we actually ask? What are your thoughts, Em?
I think early on, probably at the end of the interview, you don't want to leave it till you already have a job offer. We need to make sure we're on the same page.
And it might help you understand what you're up for. And it can just be a question. I think it can feel really intimidating. And Laura was mentioning some of this stuff, she's feeling like, oh, I'm asking for help, or it's uncomfortable, or it feels like too much, or it's pushy or whatever. It can kind of feel like you're demanding, pay me to move, or I'm not coming. But that's not what you're saying. It's just a question. And it doesn't have to be anything more than just a question. You're just asking, hey, is this something you do? So an example of that might sound like you've asked maybe one question that you wanted to know about the company. And then you might say, well, yeah, my next question, as I mentioned, I currently live in this city. So if I was offered the role, I'd be moving here, which is definitely something that I'm prepared to do. I just wanted to ask though, is relocation assistance something that you've ever offered before? You're just finding out.
They'll be looking for confirmation that you are willing or planning or thinking about moving, particularly in a case like Sasha's. So make sure you give them that confirmation, even if you know it would be contingent and dependent on what is presented. Interview Academy might be the perfect thing you're looking for. Interview Academy is a course Sarah has been working on after delivering hundreds of interview coaching sessions and getting incredible results.
But unfortunately, I'm only one gal living in an Aussie time zone who works a day job, and all of that mean I can't help everyone one-on-one, which drove me crazy.
So for over a year, Sarah's been working on turning all of those amazing lessons into an on-demand, step-by-step interview prep course. We hold your hand through the entire thing,
and you can do it at home in your own time and get instant access right now. Check it out at interviewboss.com.au/interview-academy. The link is in the show notes. We've talked about this in our episode about moving and trying to get a job when you're moving. The more you can put yourself in the bucket of, I am coming to this place. I am 100% willing to move. I am like, you can't give 100% certainty, but they're worried that you're just dipping your toe in the water. You're just like interested, vaguely kind of daydreaming about maybe moving there, but you don't have any real plans. So anything you can say to make them understand that you are genuinely actually considering this, you've looked into houses, you've visited your friend there a lot, like whatever it is that you can mention, I think will help.
Yeah. Now let's go through the type of answers you might get. They might say, oh, we've never actually done anything like that before. That doesn't mean that they can't do it for the first time. They might say, oh, I'm not really sure. Let me get back to you or ask. They could say, yeah, for some roles, we have done that before. It might be a flat out, unfortunately not for this role. So it will really depend on how much they like you and their other options, your salary expectations, how important or senior the role is, even the location that it is.
And just the company. It could be just this company doesn't offer random extra benefits. They only do things that they've discussed and agreed in advance that they offer to people. So that's why kind of finding out have they done it before is helpful, because if they've done it before, well, maybe they'll do it again. Again, doesn't guarantee you that, yep, sure, because they sometimes offer this, that means you're going to get it if you were to be offered the role. It depends on all those things, like particularly location. I think if it's a regional or it's a bit of an unpopular location that they're based in, they might have an awareness that we need to help people get here. We need to look outside of our area. That's just a part of doing what we do and being where we are. We need to bring people in. It's hard to find people in our area. But if it is the type of place that people generally want to be and that people are moving in and out of all the time, or that there are other reasons why you'd want to be there, there's lots of other companies that work there too, it might be less likely. Like if they were the only big employer in town and you were going to be moving for them, and if you didn't work for them, you really couldn't live there, that's where I'd be more likely to expect stuff like that to be involved.
Yeah, it kind of helps if the place doesn't have much going for it. And this might sound offensive, but if you're moving from the bright flashy lights of New York City and they want you to go to the outback of rural Texas where there's a corner milk bar and that's all, I feel like you've got more bargaining power to be like, look, I'm trading a significant lifestyle here and there ain't much to do. So,
I mean, there might be some people who think the complete opposite too. They might be like, you're making me move into this really expensive city that I don't want to live in. And so it depends on where you're at. That's why we started with reflection, right? Like this is very personal about what it's like for you. And I think it's important to understand if they weren't going to help you do this, would you move? Also, another hypothetical, would you live in this place? Would you consider living in this place if it wasn't for the job?
Yeah, that's important to think about. So why is it worth asking? Shooting your shot, if you will.
It is shooting your shot. It very much is. Well, obviously because then you know. Like if you get a no, great, cool. I'm not going to bring it up in my offer, am I? Like I've gotten a no. I just understand that the package of the salary is what I'm getting and that's it. And that might help me even come up with my salary expectations.
It's also entirely possible that a company does have a relocation policy or has provided it before, but the people involved in your interview or hiring process aren't aware, didn't know about it, didn't promote it, or didn't think to mention it, and they could do some digging and be like, we actually have an Epic package sitting on the intranet.
Yep, exactly. And so if you don't ask, how are you going to know? Like I mentioned before, you can factor it into your expectations of your salary or the offer conversation. If you know that they have offered it before, that might be something that you say, oh, look, I know you offered me XYZ salary. That is something that I would be willing to consider if there was also some relocation attached. Like maybe that's the thing that can make the difference of going, okay, yeah, that's a good offer. It's not amazing, but if they also had some relocation assistance, yep, then now I'm happy because I don't have all those extra costs.
Yeah, we've mentioned before too, when you're applying for a job somewhere that you want to move, and how having set plans makes you a much more attractive candidate. So if your partner's already over there and you're going to join them, or you've got family there, or you're visiting for 3 weeks and that's when you're going to, interview or things like that, that helps.
But it doesn't mean that asking hurts that. By asking, you're not saying, oh, I'm not doing it unless you help me move. You can be on board with moving, but also just find out if this is something that's on the table or not.
Yeah. So what if they say, no, we can't do that, we won't, sorry, not happening?
That's why you need to know it's a deal breaker or not. Is that somewhere that you want to live anyway? Is it a good long-term move for your career to be in that role and in that location? I think it's important to go back to that stuff. It can feel really easy to go into, yeah, but they should and they're not going to, and so I'm not going to move. And it's like, well, have you just missed out on something that would be amazing for you long-term beyond the scope of this company, particularly in an interstate move, right? International, a bit different, but an interstate move, like a couple of $1,000s that'll cost you to move, and like this is a really strategic thing for your career. I think you have to weigh that up.
Yeah. Would you truly only be moving for this job? And then think about how much it would actually cost you. Do a little number crunching exercise, because if you realize that actually it's not as much as maybe you thought to move, maybe you're more okay with the fact that they won't offer it. Maybe you're in a share house and you're paying, rent for a room and you don't have any belongings, and you can kind of just really pack 2 suitcases and go and start your new life, compared to if you've lived somewhere for 40 years, you've got a house and kids, that's a bit different.
And you've got to sell the house, buy a new house, like there's transaction costs involved in all of that. Like, yeah, kids' schools, so much else involved. And that is something that you really want to be aware of before you accepted something like that. I kind of got the sense that Sasha was interested in the job, but not the place. And she was obviously having a bit of hesitation, committing to this hiring manager who was like, you need to say that you're moving and then I'll consider offering you the role, which is like a weird standoff situation. So I replied to her separately before this episode, and it was actually a little while ago. Now, the very last thing I think you can think about is if relocation assistance is off the table and you're factoring it into your salary ask already, we've talked about that, maybe the other thing that you could consider asking for, or that they could do for you, is being flexible on your start date or your conditions. Like maybe you could start working for them remotely to begin with. Maybe you could do your first couple of weeks. Like maybe you come and visit there for your first few days, staying in a hotel, and then you do a couple of weeks remotely while you start packing your things up. And then after that, you are there in person. That might really help, just being a little bit of a softer transition. Maybe you could have a longer lead up to your start date. Instead of, okay, yep, you start in 2 weeks, actually you've got 6 weeks before you start. And so you've got plenty of time to get settled. Maybe you could agree on some flex time once you had actually started to help you deal with all the admin things that come with being in a new place, like inspecting houses or changing your license, or I don't know, all the other things, finding a new doctor.
Yeah. So tell me what you've replied to Sasha.
Well, I had got the sense that she was really interested in the job, but maybe not that interested in the location. And there was that standoff with the hiring manager of, I need you to commit before I'm willing to offer you the job. So what I said back to her is that they're looking for confirmation that you're open to moving. And it sounded like she is. She is, yep, I'm absolutely open to moving. But I wonder if she really came across too unsure in her first reaction. And so then they were like, oh, you don't even know if you're going to move or not. Now, hold on, we're getting further in this process. I need you to confirm. I wonder if some of that came from her initial reaction of like, well, I don't know. I don't actually know if this is real for me or not. And then a bit of an overreaction to that. So I kind of suggested they kind of need some certainty here. Maybe all you've said so far is that you'll think about it. Maybe you say, yep, I'm open to moving. Like, this is something that I'm looking into. I'm already thinking about what I would do with my car and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it's weighing on me.
Yeah, like just some practical things to show that you are taking it seriously. I think that's often what they're looking for. And so that could sound something like, I'm absolutely open to making the move for this role, and I understand that in order to accept it, I would be committing to moving. However, as I'm sure you understand, to make a decision like that, I would need to understand all the impacts on my life, including the salary, the time frame, and the relocation costs. Because that's what she was interested in, like kind of nudging, well, it depends on how much the package is as to whether I'll come.
Which, fair enough, because for me, money would be the number one deciding factor on whether I would relocate. If it's for amazing money, hell yeah. If it's not that great in the scheme of it and all the inconvenience of moving, I'm going to be more unsure.
Yeah. And my reaction to you saying that is actually that if it's just because you're being paid a lot, that's exactly the kind of thing that might fall through, because money isn't enough to keep you in a job. Anyone who's had a highly paid job that they ended up quitting knows that to be true. And anyone that hasn't is probably rolling their eyes and doesn't believe it. But you kind of have to live it in order to understand, like, oh yeah, it doesn't make me feel good every day. Like, it doesn't make a difference because I hate it here and I can't do this anymore. And being in a place that you didn't want to be, like uprooting your life for a job, might really change that dynamic of what you're expecting it to be. So yeah, I can kind of get that. Now, I'm a huge fan of Reddit stories. I don't know if you are, Em, as well.
Yeah.
I've been reading Reddit stories since way before they were all over TikTok. But do you know what my favorite thing about a Reddit story is?
When they pair them with a Minecraft video and you're watching someone just trawl through a little square block.
Yeah. Do you know what my favorite thing about Reddit stories is?
The updates.
Update. Well, we have an update from Sasha. How exciting. I thought I'd include this for you guys. I went in and checked. I was like, hey, what's going on? So she said, hey, Sarah, I didn't end up getting the role. The hiring manager said my hesitation around committing to the move before having more details worked against me. He suggested that moving forward, I should fully commit to relocating up front and let them know I'm 100% willing to move, then discuss salary and logistics if I'm offered the position. He didn't respond well to my uncertainty about it before the role was officially on the table. I can see both sides, but it definitely wasn't the outcome I was hoping for. This one, I went back and forth with her for a bit. This one sounds like a bit unreasonable for them to be like, you have to 100% commit.
They are being way too black and white. Like, it's not that simple. It's a massive life decision to move. I think she's entitled to be able to discuss the specifics instead of just in theory what it would look like.
And do you know what? I actually kind of really understand their position. If she was external.
Yeah.
I would back them so much more because they don't know her. And it's like, what do you mean you might move for this role? Like, you're a stranger. Like, I've got other candidates. Like, are you actually considering this or not?
I totally forgot that this was her own company. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That makes it so different for me.
Yeah, they should be looking after you, know you, be a bit more lax on all of that.
Because they're getting so many benefits of having an internal transfer. So yeah, this one did seem a little bit weird. I did say maybe they've had a bad experience recently. She also mentioned that her internal, like in her side of the business or her location or whatever it is, were saying to her, you need to make sure that you don't go back on an offer. Like, you have to commit if you're going through this process. So I wonder if they've had that stuff happen before and it created some internal politics around someone being offered something and turning it down and someone was inconvenienced or something like that. Maybe that's happened recently and they've been a bit burned.
Maybe, but all in all, totally worth asking. Shoot your shot. If it's a no, it's a no, but you never know if you don't ask. And don't just think about it in terms of they should. Think about it, if that's all off the table, is my heart and soul still in it and I would actually take it no matter what? Keep that in mind.
Yeah. And remember, you do get the job, right? Like, that is the main offer. Think about that as a whole package. Thanks for listening to Interview Boss. If you want to request an episode on your specific conundrum or industry, send us the details. Email us or slide into our Instagram DMs. But if you DM us on Instagram and you're not following us, Emma won't be happy and she will judge you.
I really will.
We believe in paying it forward, so if we've helped you, spread the word. You know the drill. Follow, review, find us on Instagram, LinkedIn. It all really helps. Or go the old school way and tell someone else about the show. Can you believe we started Interview Boss in 2021?
Not really. It's insane. That's a lot of episodes and a lot of hours of talking.
Oh my gosh, it is. And if you're scrolling through all of our episodes, you might scroll straight past something that you really, really needed.
Yes, we're always getting messages from people asking us to do an episode on something, and I'm like, we already have.
So we've put together playlists to help you find the episodes that are exactly what you need, suited to your situation.
They're all categorized. If you're applying for jobs, we have episodes about resumes, cover letters, job ads. If you've been offered your dream job, we have episodes on resigning, exit interviews, and how to impress at your new company.
And we even have a very special playlist that's very popular for if you have an interview coming up immediately and you need just our most recommended hard-hitting episodes between now and then.
For all our last-minute listeners. It's all there for you. You can browse by category and check out all the playlists at interviewboss.com.au/podcast.